there another microphone?
I see.
I can stay on that.
Okay.
Just repeat that. No, I think that's, yeah, that'd be So, we've done this enough before. Usually, if they just raise their hand, I can see roughly where they're at and take the mic to them. And do you want me to get a post or something? Or, I don't know if you
Oh,
have
no.
it. It seems a little extreme.
Yeah, no. I think,
I won't have that hold it.
no, yeah, I would keep hold of it, but that's it. I don't think we need to go any further than that.
It seems a little, it's like inflamed.
Mhm.
I want to communicate that. Alrighty, I'll just be at the back.
Okay, thank you.
You want this raised up a little bit more?
Probably. I think we're all about the same height. Do you typically keep your mask on?
When I'm speaking, just because it's difficult to.
And I think the visual of the mouth movement might be helpful too. Okay.
Sometimes I don't plan on doing any spinning or sneezing.
Okay.
Morning, Bill. Good morning, Roanne. Good morning, Bruce.
As we see, we're going to get this.
How are the Bills? I'm good.
Lucy has this on if you want to meet the mic.
Okay. So welcome, everyone. We're here, of course, to talk about the memo that you recently received about visitations. With me today is Brent Swan. He's our infection preventionist nurse. He helps keep us on track about all the rules and regulations as they relate to infection control and has been very instrumental in making sure that we keep everyone in our community well. And we have Melissa Miller. She's our DON, and she works closely with Brent as well. And then we also have Sabina. She's our administrator and our director of resident care. And all of us as a team and among our managers too work real well together in trying to make sure that we are considering everything involved in this process during our public health emergency. So let me get started. As announced, the purpose of our meeting today is to update you on the newest state and federal guidelines as they relate to allowing visitors into our community. In their recent memo to the state agencies, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid stated, while CMS guidance has focused on protecting nursing home residents from COVID-19, we recognize that physical separation from family and other loved ones has taken a physical and emotional toll on residents. Residents may feel socially isolated, leading to increased risk for depression, anxiety, and other expressions of distress. Residents living with cognitive impairment or other disabilities might find visitor restrictions and other ongoing changes related to COVID-19 confusing, or upsetting. CMS understands that residents derive value from the physical, emotional, and spiritual support they receive through visitation from family and friends. In light of this, CMS is revising the guidance regarding visitation during the COVID-19 public health emergency. Many of you have expressed your appreciation to staff for the efforts being made to ensure your safety. For this, we are grateful. As we transition to welcoming visitors back into our community, we are continuing to work hard to do so in a safe way. We will continue to follow the core principles of infection control as visitors begin entering our community into the licensed areas of residential living, healthcare, and Crestwood. Outdoor and indoor locations available as the weather continues to get colder. To keep social distancing standards, these visits are limited to 4 visitors. Unscheduled outdoor visits are now permitted. Those of you with private patios are welcome to receive visitors there. If you wish to use an outside common area or walk outside on Timbercrest campus with your visitor, feel free to do so, but please wear your mask and keep a safe distance from your visitor. Regular sanitation is not performed outside except for the scheduled outdoor visits mentioned a moment ago. We ask that you do not visit at the chapel entrance or the Sea Wing patio, since these areas are used for these scheduled outdoor visits. Alternately, visitors are now able to visit you in your apartments without scheduling the visit. Your visitors are able to come to the main entrance during business hours and the extended hours that are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as noted in the memo you received yesterday. They will need to screen in, and they will need to follow infection control instructions. Visitors are limited to 2 per visit in your resident accommodation. Also, it is important indoor visitors check out at the end of their visit. This is a requirement of our state Department of Health. If a visit ends after the screening desk closes, there will be a checkout form or a log out form available for them to record their exit time. If you expect more than 2 visitors, you are able to reserve a lounge through the front desk for your visit and have up to 4 visitors to keep social distancing standards. C Lounge and half of G Lounge are used as the alternate indoor locations for scheduled outdoor visits and will not be able to be reserved outside of those visits. Due to the size of our building and staff limitations, visitors will be provided sanitation kits when they register to use to clean high-touch surface areas within your accommodation or the lounges in these visiting areas. These will help ensure your home is sanitized at the end of each visit. Lounges and public areas will continue to be sanitized by Timbercrest housekeeping staff regularly. Residents in quarantine, be reminded you will not be able to have a visitor at that time until your quarantine is lifted. Your help in informing your family and friends is important if you need to be in quarantine. We would rather not have to turn anyone away at the door because of it. Outside doors, except the main entrance and the healthcare entrance, will remain locked as they have been through this period of time. All visitors are to screen in at the main entrance during the established hours. Please do not admit guests through the other doors for the safety of our community. We are asking for your help in this. We are also happy to welcome our residents living in the neighborhood homes, giving them more access to the manor. Neighborhood home residents are able to now participate in scheduled activities, exercise classes, using the fitness center, attending services at the chapel, walking inside for exercise needs, access the neighborhood market, and use the beauty shop services, among many others. Unfortunately, neighborhood home residents will not be able to utilize the dining room services at this time due to safe distancing restrictions. All persons visiting the manor, including neighborhood home residents, are to screen in and limit their time and access to the building to the stated purpose during the screen-in process. So residents will come in for neighborhood homes, possibly tell us where they're gonna go. They're gonna go there and then return the same way they came in. Their access to the building is still somewhat limited in their movement. Due to infection control standards, we are still not able to allow visitors in the dining rooms or to stay overnight with you or in the guest lounges. If you wish to eat a small meal with your guest, you may do so in the privacy of your apartment or in a reserved lounge or during an outside visit. Opening up your home to visitors is a big step, one that we take seriously and are glad to help facilitate in the safest way we can. You and your guests will play a big part in keeping our community safe. Please abide by the guidelines set forth. As a reminder, if we do end up with a positive resident case in a particular area of our community, it may mean that you will need to be tested for COVID. And this is a mandatory testing that would have to take place. So it's going to be highly important for you and for your visitors to follow by these guidelines to help keep everyone safe and healthy. The COVID-19 public health emergency still is a reality for all of us. We want to be able to continue to keep our community open, but it will take everyone to do so. Should we need to close down visits, we will communicate through the established modes of communication, giving as much notice as possible. It is our hope that we never have to do that, but it is a likelihood that you should plan for. At this time, I guess I'd like to open it up for questions if you have any. Brian Daniels is here. He has a microphone that he will be traveling around with. Should you have a question, he will bring it to you.
Does this mean that we can go into healthcare from the manor? Can we go into healthcare and visit?
That's a good question. The question is, does this mean now that residential residents will be able to go into healthcare for a visit? We are saying yes, but you have to go through the screening process. We have to know who goes between the different facilities, parts of our facility for contact tracing. We have to know if there's a positive case, we have to know who's been there to visit. And that screening process would take place at the front desk.
To further clarify, you would have to designate your visit to a particular resident room. You would not be able to go to the healthcare area and visit multiple residents.
So if we want to go into healthcare, we go to the front first and get registered and then go to one person.
Right. During the screening process, it will ask you who you're here to visit or who you plan to visit, and you will list that there, and that's the only person you'll be able to go visit at that time. Are there any other questions?
Not another question, but just a reminder. Christy already mentioned that we are still holding and we are still have to follow and ought to follow the established infection prevention protocols, which include social distancing and wearing face masks. Just a reminder, wearing your face mask properly means that you cover your mouth and your nose at all times. I know they slip down. If you need something to fasten them, please see the front desk. They have little gadgets that may work. But I'm looking around and I see half maskers. You need to pull your mask over your nose. And it is, I know all of us staff go around making a circle around our faces. Please do not take it personally. It happens to all of us. But please help others and help your visitors who will be coming in to likewise adhere to the protocols in order to keep this entire community safe and COVID-free. Thank you.
Anyone else? Brent, Melissa, do you have anything to add? There's another question, Brian. Just a second, he's bringing the microphone to you.
I just would like to know, are you going to clarify this in a paper so that we don't have to read this whole thing to find out what we're doing? I'm not sure I understand. We can have a visitor in here at any time during the hours. We don't have to go anywhere else to find out if someone can come in. They can just come over here and come into our room.
Correct. At this time, if you want someone to come inside the building to visit you during the hours that the screening desk is open, they can come in at any of that, during that time period. They do not have to schedule a time to come see you. But they do need to arrive while the screening desk is open, and those hours are listed on the memo you received yesterday. Does that answer your question? What's that?
So just to clarify, I know there's been some question about when we have to shut down or when we have to go into a different restrictive mode. And I just kind of wanted to explain that so that you understand the changes, because when they happen fast. What we have to do is that when we would have someone who would test positive, what we want to do is immediately try to find out who have they been around. Is there any other potential of employees or residents that could potentially have been exposed? And how do we then quarantine that? I think that we have done a good job in being able to identify it, act quickly, and quarantine so it does not spread. There's a lot of horror stories that I'm sure you have heard as well of other long-term care facilities where once it's gotten in, it just takes off down the hall and affects many people. So when we would have a positive case, we are going to restrict visitations for the purpose of protection. We need that time to go through and figure out who else may have been affected. It also is a requirement that we have to go through and test all of our employees and potentially all of our residents. And that's just guidelines that have been put into place. What the state has done is the risk is still real. What they have done is that we have better access to testing supplies. We have better access to masks, gloves, gowns, shields, those pieces that we need to keep people safe. And knowing that it's so important to get those visitations and that time and that personal interaction, then because we have these other tools, that's what's allowing us to be able to have these visitations that we're opening up this week. But not to underestimate the reality that we are still living with, and that, again, if we would have any positive case or any questionable case, to put things into place to protect you and make sure that that spread does not happen the best that we can, as well as with employees. Okay, does that kind of help understand why things have to happen so fast? Okay. Any other questions for me while I'm up here? Yes,
I don't know if this is big for you or one of
Okay.
the others, but on this time, do we have to still go on the computer and sign up, or do we have to let you know?
The question is do we have to go on and sign up for a time slot? The only time you have to go on the computer to sign up for a time slot is if you want an outdoor visit where staff will monitor the visit and sanitize following the visit. We are going to continue as long as the weather allows to have outside visits. Once the weather is too cold, we will bring those visits inside, or if the weather is rainy, we'll bring the visits inside. Again, and you can have up to 4 visitors at a time. Any of the other visits that we have do not need to be scheduled. So if you have someone who wants to come to your apartment to see you, they do not need to schedule a visit. They just need to come during one of those visiting hours to be screened in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll take one last look around the room. Thank you for coming. This was a short meeting, just on one topic, but we were very pleased to be able to bring you together so that we could answer any questions you had and to make sure that you had as much information about the changes as possible. So if you do come up with a question, in the meantime, please send those our way. We'll be glad to answer them. Thank you all and have a beautiful day.